What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Lost Records Journal, Player One vs. World's Lost Records Focus podcast. This is episode 38. We've just had the lovely Victoria Diamond on, who was motion capture and voice actor for Dylan. And obviously, we have another very, very special guest on here. One of the members of Bloom and Rage, skater fanatic, just come back from the UK herself. Andrea Carter is here. She is motion capture for Autumn Lockhart and also the voiceover actor. Andrea, how are you?
I am good. I am still scared. I mean, this is new for me, but I am excited. I'm really excited to be here. So thank you.
No, I'm glad to have you here. And obviously, I think it has come with that. I think I never usually tell this with the actors from Life is Strange, but a lot of them have come from like no video game experience before, and then they kind of enter on a podcast because I'm usually pelting them with DMs, and they kind of cave in. So I've also been doing that to Andrea, and I was like, completely understand that you have a baby, and it's like, where can we move this? And she's like, I've just gone to the UK and I've gone to camping. I'm like, don't worry, whenever you're free, we can do it. And she's obviously here, and we're very, very grateful to have her on it because it's amazing to speak to the actors behind this.
You've been so accommodating. I do just want to say that, like, very accommodating, waiting for me to respond to messages, like all of it. Because I'm half the time I'm like, do I even have a phone? Where is my phone? Am I alive? So thank you. A lot of the time I'm like, I didn't respond, Adnan. Oh God. So thank you. I appreciate that.
No, absolutely, Andrea, I appreciate it. And my worst one was when you'd see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's never going to come on. It's been 12 hours. And then I sit back for a minute. I'm like, my co-host Adam and Abby are like, just sit back. She'll respond to you. And I'm like, she's responding. I'm like, yes. Like, we have not lost the interview yet. It's still going to happen. So it's perfect.
Let me just tell you also, some of my closest friends, it's the same thing. Like, they're like, where did she go? I'm like, I thought I responded. No, okay, milk. Like, my brain is split right now. So that's another thing. If I blank on things, mom brain is like for real. That's also part of things right now.
I completely relate. I'm the exact same. I have a memory like a goldfish. And I'll show you as well during this interview because I will probably ask you something that you've already said. So we'll carry forward here. So obviously, if you are new here first, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notification, like the video, share with your friends. You can find Lost Records Journal on all podcast services. It's available on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It has over 170 followers on Spotify. We have over 39 ratings on there. So please do go and rate us and follow us and download the episodes to get instant access to episodes like this with Amelia's on there and Andrea's on there.
I told you, I'll forget my name. I can be Amelia too. You know, me and her go. No, I'm just kidding.
I appreciate that. We have obviously tons of interviews available, and obviously Andrea Carter is here. I think it's just programmed in my head because I'm like, I know that we're going to be talking about Amelia, and we're also going to be talking about Nora.
So you're getting geared up. Okay, got it.
So I'm getting very much geared up, and I think I'm going to gear you up as well here because I'm going to start with just Lost Records very briefly, and you've played the game. So for people who are watching as well, Andrea has played tape 1 all the way through, and she's, played through. She also told me what the reason was behind that. But she has seen tape 1, she has seen all of that, and she's seen parts of tape 2. So just for context, you know how the interviews go here if you've watched them before, and I also very much like show her through other things when we talk about them. But Andrea, I'm going to take you to tape 1 first because I think it's a good starting point for a quick question. So I'm going to take you out of the shoes of Autumn. I'm going to put you into Swann Holloway's shoes. And you know where I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to the Yooper scooper, and you know Autumn has a lovely job there, and we see the lovely Olivia Lepore as Swann Holloway turning up, and she's like, what slushy do I order? So I'm going to ask you, what slushy are you ordering? So we have flavors here, and I've got the flavors for you. So Beyond, Rainbow Snow, and Cute and Grumpy.
What's the last one?
Cute and Grumpy.
Oh yeah, Cute and Grumpy for sure. Cute. For sure, Cute and Grumpy.
That's very.
That's also my child's state of being as well. Cute and grumpy. So.
Well, I think we'll hear it when the baby just like lets off a massive cry, and it's like, there's Cute and Grumpy. It's
for sure. No, what do we know what flavors those are though? Can we guess?
I don't know the exact flavors, but I will say that Rainbow Snow is Autumn's preferred pick, so you build a relationship with her at that. And then Cute and Grumpy is Nora's pick. If you pick that, you build a relationship with Nora. So I feel like you're very much on that terrain with Autumn style, where you want to build a connection with Nora.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like, oh, well, of course, because, Nora's my vibe. So, okay.
Nice. So I'm going to obviously, that's just a warm up. I'm going to move Lost Records to the side because we'll come back on to that. There's a lot to talk about. But I want to start with you, Andrea Carter, because I've kind of done some nosing. I've seen one thing which I will definitely be asking you about. But who is Andrea Carter? Tell me your backstory for the uninitiated?
Okay. I have been acting, let's see, over 20 years, over 25 years. I've been in the industry for quite some time. I started from a really young age. I started from when I was like 10, 12. I did gymnastics for a really long time and I loved it. I loved gymnastics. I still love it. But something about it, I was like, I just like performing. It's just like, I just like that I don't have a team. It's just me on, like, everyone's watching me. The audience cheers for me afterward. And so then from there, it just kept going. I went to an arts high school, and then I was in conservatory at York University. And then I've just been studying continuously for 10 years with Grace Moon and Michelle Smith, and that's my coach. And so I just constantly have been training and working in the industry, theater, film, television, now games, which is totally new for me. Motion capture, voice, all of it, but it's amazing. It's basically, for me, it feels like I'm combining theater and film and television into this, I don't know, the imagination of everything there, where it just goes to the next level. Because you don't really realize it, but at the time, I'm like, this is both my worlds that I love coming together.
No, absolutely. It really is such a different experience, motion capture, voiceover, and just being in video games compared to others. And I like that you can bring those other influences in.
I love it. Yeah.
And also as well, I did do some nosing, as I also always do with the actors. And this was Andrea Carter in 2019. She was talking to Toronto Guardian, and she was talking about her gymnastics. And she was saying, as a gymnast, you train for the results you want. That was quote unquote. And it was part of your acting philosophy. So I was going to ask you, is that still part of your acting philosophy, or has it evolved now into something different?
Oh, 100%. I strongly believe that you have to train nonstop. Like, I don't think that there's any art form where you don't train. You know, like if you're a violinist, a pianist, or anything, a dancer, like you're constantly training to perfect your craft or get as close as possible to the thing that you truly love and you want it to be something that you're giving people that's actually got your heart and soul. And I feel like for you to be able to do that, you have to train and train and train and train. So you're free. And when the moment comes, like even if it's theater, it's like, okay, I know that I have to hit this blocking and this stuff, and I have to hit these marks. But at the same time, I want to be free when I'm doing it. And for me, that all comes with my training. If I don't have that solid foundation where I'm like, okay, I did everything I possibly could up until this moment, then I'm good to go and free. So yeah, I'm 100. I think that's definitely where it came from as a gymnast, is this very rigorous training. And I was a competitive gymnast. So it was like, I think it was, 3 times a week. I was going and training and conditioning, and I was competing as well. So it was very much ingrained in me that, you know, if I want to get somewhere and feel confident in my performance and not be thinking as much, boom, I just got to train. And that's held me up since, because I'm like, I feel a little bit crazy. And like, I know there are people who can go and just like wing it. That is not me. I can wing it once I've done the work beforehand. Then I'm like, let's go, let's play. But if I don't, I'm like, I don't know where I am.
Just to include in this as well, because it's so strange, because obviously when I was speaking to Victoria Diamond, she trained as a ballet dancer. It was very interesting to talk to her about that. And I said, like, you know, was it the balance, for example, that you learned from it, or was it? And she was like talking about the discipline that was really important from it. Because I use an example, there was a famous footballer that played for my team. He trained as a ballet dancer at first. And then when you watch him play football, you see how elegant he actually was on the ball. And it's like it's a clear trait with how he's doing it. So I'm just going to ask you as well, like when you think about the motion capture you've done in your life and also the acting, what do you take away from the gymnastic? Is it more the discipline, or is it the balance, or is it like all factors combined when it helps you with acting?
Oh, it's all. I really do think having this base of being a gymnast helped me so much, because I think also being an actor, it's all your tools, your body, your voice, the way you think, everything is combined, but specifically the body and voice are so connected. And especially in motion capture, the body is such a huge thing, and being conscious of from like head to toe where you are. So like you're saying with ballet, like it's all that knowledge of like, okay, this is where I am. And I feel like as a gymnast, and although I did it when I was younger, I continued to do it. Like even when I was older, it hurt a lot more. My body was not the same, but I have been training. I have been training up until I was in my 30s and still doing it. And it's so important to me to be connected and to know what's going on and know where I am. And I feel confident, and like, it's exciting when I see them like Autumn and she's doing cartwheels and stuff like that. I'm like, I know that form like the back of my hand, and I love it. And I love everything about gymnastics, but it's so, I think, beneficial that I had that background, especially as an actor. And I feel like anytime I'm like, ooh, there's stunts or something. I mean, I'm not a stunt performer at all, but I am excited to try and do little things and do stuff because I'm like, oh, I feel confident knowing where my body goes and how I connect to it. I have that base and that foundation, which I think is really, really imperative, to just feel confident, especially in motion capture.
Oh, absolutely. Like and especially with what you guys were doing in certain scenes as well. I was like looking, I was like, there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot here of the
Yeah.
demands on that. And obviously, I
Yes.
know people are probably like sitting there because you mentioning Lost Records, and I mentioned Lost Records. They're screaming for it, but I'm not going to go there yet because
Okay.
one interesting detail I noticed. My friend, I can't remember the show. Abby was watching something. She's like, "I've seen Andrea Carter in this TV show, and she's there." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I was recently watching something, and I stopped the TV, and I was like, "Hang on a minute." And it was a character called Tina in Designated Survivor. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. And I went and looked it up and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I was like, there's Andrea Carter in Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed Designated Survivor. So I wanted to ask you just about that briefly because obviously it's a very high profile TV show. I really loved it.
Mhm.
Kiefer Sutherland was in it. I love Kiefer Sutherland as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Did you meet him, like speak to him off set? And then also as well, what was your experience like as well?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. Okay, so I didn't really meet him. He was in the trailer while I was getting my makeup done, and he just was talking, and he sounded really awesome and really cool. So I didn't really meet him, but he sounded like a nice guy, and everybody seemed really nice and stuff like that. I think Cal Penn also was on the show as well, and he was beside me, and he had a really big, like, not French bulldog or like some type of dog with him in the trailer. And I just thought that was really funny. And he's a really funny guy too. But what was really, really awesome, I'm forgetting her name right now, but one of the lead actors on the show, she played the daughter of the mother who I was looking after. My character essentially was a caregiver for her mother who had cancer.
Mhm.
And she was just so phenomenal at commanding a set as a lead actor while also giving space for me. And I was so nervous, like how I'm nervous now. Like I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my God. This was one of my first times having a bunch of lines to say on a film show that was bigger and like all those things. I was scared. And like she was great at giving me guidance and like showing me the way while also, kind of being a badass. Like I was just like, oh, look at this woman like is owning the set while also listening to the director while also helping me. And I think that I just remember in my mind like, oh, I really hope one day that I can be that same thing as a woman, like just to have that power of holding space for myself, holding space for the actors, the director, and doing my job. Like it was I just soaked that in the whole entire time. And yeah, and I loved it. It was really, really fun. It was really neat. And I learned I was using my theater voice on like a film set, and she was like, you can just talk to me. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So just like things like that I took away from now. So it was really cool. Yeah.
No, absolutely, and it's because like usually when I interview the actors, I don't really see much of what they're in, but like there's a usual like one-off anomaly, and I'm like, oh, I've seen that, and I was like, that's amazing, and
Yeah.
it's nice to have that in your portfolio. And obviously, another new addition to the portfolio is Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, which came out in 2025. You did the motion capture, you did the voiceover. So I'm going to start with how did you get involved with this project?
Yeah. Okay. So I auditioned online. So it was just a self tape that I sent in, and I got the self tape, and I was like, oh, cool. This is for a video game. That's really awesome. And they had me audition for Teenage Autumn and Adult Autumn. It was 2 scenes and sing a song. And I basically just went crazy for singing the song. I went a little crazy for singing the song. I had so much fun. And like, it was such a dream to just be able to be like teenage version of myself. I think everybody to just like not care and rock out
Yeah.
was really, really fun. And then, yeah, the callback was in Montreal. And the callback, it didn't come from like people say that they wait. They don't think they got the audition. They're just like, whatever, it didn't happen. It was months and months and months later where I was like, oh, I have a callback for that? I did that so long ago. I was like, what? And that's awesome. So then I went to Montreal for the callback, and I remember being like, I don't even know what to do here because this was just not my realm of things. Like I know what to do in theater. I know what that entails. And I know a little bit more in film and television with the callback with that. But I was like, what are they looking for? And then at the end of the day, I was like, well, they're just looking for me to be me. And so that's all I can bring to the character. And so then I did that, and it was really awesome. I remember just rocking out with the girls as much as possible. I feel like that was my number one goal, was to just be punk rock and rock out and live that dream. And I remember rocking out with Amelia and just like, okay, I can do this. And so yeah, that's basically how I started and got involved with it.
No, that's very cool. And I'm also going to do a little bit of cheating and repeat what I said to Amelia. So I'm just going to pull you up something. And I think you might
Please,
have heard
please.
this. So this was Michel. So Michel Koch, obviously, we absolutely adore Michel here. Obviously,
Yeah.
game director on Lost Records. He was on a podcast called The Gone Gold Show in May 2025. And he was talking about the process of getting the girls casted for this. And he said, and I quote, so bear with me whilst I look down and read this. He said, "What I love with those two, and those two, which is yourself and obviously Amelia, were the two were the two ones we were the most sure of casting first for Lost Records. I think we really looked at Autumn and Nora earlier, and then we had to try Natalie and Olivia to shuffle them around to make sure it worked. But for Andrea and Amelia, so we had the audition tapes, we were loving already their performances. But what we made, what we did after they chose the audition tapes to make sure it works, is we actually had them come on site in person to see if there was any chemistry between them. And yeah, the first time we saw Amelia and Andrea together, we had the feeling that they knew each other for 10 years or more. So we knew that it was for them. Even if they didn't know each other for, um, they just saw, they just knew each other for a few minutes. It was like they were really two best friends and it was working so well. So that was Michel's quotes. I just wanted to ask you as well, what's it like, obviously, when you hear your game director say that as praise to you, both of you? And then just to couple with that as well, I'll probably repeat afterwards as well. Amelia obviously gave us her insight into when she was working with you in the chemistry reads, and she was like, she was like, in paraphrasing, Andrea's like just a complete energy flow of coming in this performance. She was just bouncing off me. I was like, I was just vibing with her. So I'm just curious, like, what's like, obviously hearing Michel's praise, but then also your interpretation, why you just clicked so easy with Amelia. What was it that just made you feel like you could just bounce off her so quickly?
Well, first, hearing Michel, that's phenomenal. I mean, I feel like we don't always get as actors to hear the feedback or to hear those things, especially from the audition process, and to hear that, that's phenomenal, because you just never know. You're just out there kind of in the abyss. You're just like, you don't know. And so to hear that, that's fantastic that, he felt so confident that, they had such chemistry, and he saw that in what we were doing, because truthfully, we felt it. We really did. Like, going on to the next one, is we felt that chemistry. And I know that to be true, because I think Amelia honestly is very similar to me in the sense that we really like to prepare. We really like to have things prepared, and we love that. And so to have, like, I could immediately feel, I'm like, oh, she's ready to play. And that's my jam. I'm like, if somebody's ready to go and to play with me as an actor, I'm for it. I'm like, throw me something, please throw me. Because then you also don't have to do as much. I'm like, I just have to play off the next person. I don't need to throw out as much. So I feel like with Amelia, she's just so fantastic at doing that thing where it's like, she's so prepared that she's just free. And then I get to play with her. And that was what it felt like immediately. I was like, oh. And also, I'm so competitive. So I had to, like, she was just going, and I was like, okay, I gotta rise to this girl. I gotta go with her. And it's just like, you just jump into that deep end with the person, versus like, oh, okay, well, she's going. Like, there was none of that. I was just like, this is phenomenal. This is exactly what I want as somebody with a scene partner for a callback. Is just somebody who is giving their all the way I want to give my all, without any worry. And so she's just phenomenal at that.
No, I'm glad that you guys had a great time, because obviously we've all enjoyed the game, and we see Nora and Autumn vibing, and they very much are best friends in the game, and wherever that relationship takes them, they are still best friends. But like, we also feel that vibe from you and Amelia, and obviously Amelia spoke very highly of you when she came on here, and we expected nothing more as well, because obviously that dynamic is very clear, and when Michel says it as well, I can very much see that. So it was amazing to just kind of hear your perspective on that, and I kind of wanted to take you to that audition as well, because obviously you submit the tapes, you go in for the audition, the in-chemistry read. Just from your actor's perspective, and taking you all the way back there, what was going through your mind when you finished your audition? Were there any regrets? Were you thinking that I could have done something more, or were you actually quite content thinking, I've just literally knocked this out of the ballpark, and if it doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen, and that's the world?
If I remember, because it was a while ago, I really truly feel like I didn't know what I had just done. So, and I think that's actually a great thing, because that probably meant that I wasn't so aware of every little thing. I was just in it. And like I said with Amelia, it was just so, first of all, it was so much fun. And I think, like, when you have fun in audition, and you're not just kind of like totally terrified, but I knew I had fun. That was like number one thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I had so much fun doing this. This was fantastic. But I also know that I don't remember exactly what I did. Like if somebody was like, did you do like a power jump and you just rocked out? Were you like air guitaring this and that? I had no idea in that regard, where I didn't
Yeah.
really know what was going on. And so I think that was a good thing. I think I was just free. I felt very free, and I felt very safe. Like it felt like a collaborative thing where they were giving us redirects and, oh, can you try this? Where it didn't feel like just people just standing back. Like I remember everybody was in on the thing. Like, let's try this, let's do this. And it felt very like we were all just jiving together, kind of swirling together, which was great.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear your perspective, because like the more actors we talk to as well, I always find like it's probably better that they don't fully equip you with like the knowledge of the studio and stuff like that, because I feel like you'd over prepare, overthink, and then over
I
plan.
would.
Like,
I would.
yeah, and I feel like I said that with Olivia, because I said like if you look at Max Caulfield and you look at Swann Holloway, I'm like you would have might even have gone and watched Max Caulfield and started to be like her when she's not meant to be like that. So I completely understand your position where you're coming from with that. And I've just taken a question from our Patreon as well, which we got here. So this is from Kevin Lackner. And they asked, did you know the full story of the game from the beginning, or did you learn it as you went along?
I know I knew nothing. no, we knew very little. I just had the sides. I just had the sides. I think I don't know if it was because we did more than one callback and like more than one chemistry. Like it was, I had flown, because I'm from Toronto, or based in Toronto. I had flown in a couple times and I still didn't know if I had the part. Like the whole time I was like, I have no idea. And so I didn't know very much. It was like inch by inch they were giving us a little bit more. I think maybe we had kind of the breakdown and the concept art for Autumn. I remember the first audition, her name was Anna. Like I didn't know anything. It was all very like, I have no idea. So I was really just giving my take on it, and it wasn't like, it was literally inches of just like every time we kind of went in, they were like, here's a little crumb, here's a little thing, and then finally they're like, okay, you need this information, and then so that you can obviously portray her a little bit more authentically. And so I was just like, but at the beginning, no, there was just, let's try this, let's just go. Yeah.
No, that is interesting takes. Obviously, I don't know usually the process. It can change from actor to actor. I'm curious as well when you said in that as well, because like you said that there was this for Autumn, those concept. Is that the first time you saw what Autumn looked like in the audition?
It wasn't in the audition. It was probably in like a closer to like a chemistry read, or like further along when they had finally sent more. Yeah, we were doing, I think it was like more of a chemistry thing, or we started doing stuff with Olivia, like Ada, Autumn, and things like that, where we were sitting in the booth. And so they had sent that, and then the teenage stuff too, but they sent the concept art for both of them. And I was like, this is so cool. And I think by that point, I was like, I think I have the part, but I had no idea. And it was, because it's such a long process. It was like a year where I was just like, I don't know, but they're starting to send me things. I'm starting to see what she looks like. She's awesome. I'm already in love with her. I really want the part. So yeah. I think it was probably one of the first chemistry reads, or like, I'm calling it a chemistry read. They didn't call it that. It was just kind of to see where we were. They didn't call it that at all. They were just bringing us in. But yeah, I think it was those were one of the first times where I got like a full script and like a full kind of breakdown.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you'd played it more on Olivia, but I thought that might have been the case, because obviously you guys work very much closely in the adult dynamic as well. So it is interesting to hear that. And obviously I will come on to Olivia and Amelia and the actors and stuff, but I'm going to take you a little bit left field, because I'm going to take you into the scary recording booth. And obviously Mr. Philip Bache is usually there, who I've spoken to many actors from Life is Strange and also from Lost Records who have done work with Philip Bache, and it's a very different experience, I think, when you haven't worked with someone like that. I'm just curious, what was your experience like working with Philip Bache, and what were some of the challenges that you found working with him? And I mean, when I mean challenges, in terms of that experience of being in the recording booth with him for the first time on a video game project, and working in that collaboration with someone like him.
Yeah, I mean, so it was my first time, doing VO and being in a booth like that. What was really awesome was that we got to do the mocap beforehand, and so it's like I kind of, physicality wise, I knew that, like I said, that's my jam. Like I need to know where my body is, and the microphone luckily was also not like right here. We had it strapped to our head, so it was like I still could move, which really helped me with working with Phil, I think, because Phil's crazy, and I love that because everybody's a little bit crazy. Phil's crazy. I don't care what anybody says. He's crazy, and I love that because he's so devoted to getting the product that's actually, that he feels I can create something that's excellent. And I feel like to do that, you have to be a little bit unconventional and not boring and not just like, okay, we're going to try it this way. It's like, no, like he actually thinks of things on the fly constantly to be like, I'm going to get you there. And it's not going to be everybody's jam. But
Yeah.
for me personally, if that's what the director wants to do, let's go, let's try it. Like if I feel like confident and comfortable in the situation, then I'm going to try it. And so like, yeah, just from everything from turning down the lights, or randomly he'll put up like a YouTube video of something crazy that he thinks is going to freak you out or gross you out. Like he just very on the fly is go and ready for, to kind of get you somewhere. And I think also it's a weird thing is like you don't know each other, and
Yeah.
it's so intimate that how do you get to know each other quickly, and how do you get to drop down to that level when you're going to go to this place where it could be deep and dark so fast, and you want to trust that director and that person. And so I think like, especially as time went on and we started to know each other more, he was very capable of being like, okay, well, I think this is what Andrea needs, I think this is what she'll need to help her get her there. And he started to understand how I work, which is really important. Like he started to see that. And at the same time, if something wasn't working for me, like I'm not very good at a poker face. You can tell very quickly when I'm like, this is not it. I don't think this is it. I'll try it. We'll go. But if it's not working, chances are like that was there. And he got it. Like he was pretty good. And as we kind of worked, again, it was, I want to say a couple of years, started to work, he started to understand that. And so working with him again is just, for me, I'm just like, okay, what does he want? Let's go. I anybody who wants to play, like I said, wants to go 100%, I'm gonna go.
Can I ask you if there was an occasion where he pushed your buttons as an actor?
Oh yeah,
Where is there
but
one that stands out for you, memory wise?
I mean, all the time. But I mean, maybe push buttons is the wrong term. I think it's pushing to make sure that we get something fantastic that people are going to love. And that's not always easy. Like if I don't want to go the easy route, sometimes it's going to be challenging, and sometimes it's going to be hard. And like, that's the name of the game for me. That's what I want. That's as like I said, even before as a gymnast, I don't want a coach who's going to be like, well, I want a coach who's going to push me. And it's the same thing. So although some people might not really jive with that or like that, and might not, right, and don't get me wrong, you can come up to a wall and be like, okay, this is hard. But I'm, like I said, sometimes I like having my buttons pushed. That sounds so wrong. I'm not like that, but just I do. I really feel like I like being challenged as an actor. And Phil was always there to be like, okay, I'm going to challenge you this way. And I feel like that's important. I don't think you can make great art with having a little bit of challenge. So
I agree. And also when I mean pushing as well, I say that in a respectful sense, because when I spoke to obviously Victoria recently, she was like, I had to let go. I was like, I get what you mean there. She was like, actually, I had to really realize I had to relinquish control here. And it's like, I
yeah,
could see
yeah.
where she was getting pushed, where she was like, I've seen Philip Bache's methods from many times in Life of Strange Actors and stuff. So I
Yeah,
completely understand what will do to get, as you said, the best potential, not something that's good.
yeah.
You'll only expect the best.
I mean, I
And
think it's what people deserve as well.
yeah,
Like I just want to like the people deserve, like if I know now on the other end of it how much this game means to people.
yeah.
And that's so clear in the way that Phil does his technique as well. Is like this is going to mean so much to people that we cannot sacrifice anything. And that is something I truly admire.
I completely agree. And for yourself as well, I think it means a lot for you guys as well, because I don't think you want to come out thinking that I could have done that a better take. It's like you're going to leave doing the best take. So I completely
100%.
understand from all dynamics it works. And in there, obviously,
Yeah.
I've seen one of the videos before this game was coming out. I think it was when you were pregnant. Obviously, congratulations to the baby. Obviously,
Thank
living the
you.
mother life at the moment. And with it,
Thank you.
both the highs and the lows, as we talked about briefly off podcast. But I was amazed, obviously, because I saw the video, you were doing the voiceover, sat down, and obviously, heavily pregnant. It must be uncomfortable positions. You're exerting all your influences. Take me through that process. What was it like working during those moments when it was being pregnant and then VO? Because obviously microphones have changed, positions have changed. You can't necessarily like just lunge at a microphone to make a scream. It's going to be all different. So what was it like doing
Yeah.
that compared to your quote unquote normal experience of recording?
Yeah. I mean, what was good is the microphones were still here. Like like I could move wherever, so it was good. So I didn't have to that part of it was good. It honestly was so hard, but so magical, because I think I was so present in what was going on because of the fact that I had to pay so much attention to my body. And of course, the voice stuff, we did the hardest stuff while I was 9 months pregnant. I think I was almost like 2 weeks due. Like it was insane. And we did all the most difficult stuff, the screaming, the running, the yelling, the crying, the panting, the panic attacks, all of it was, I'm pretty sure, when I was 9 months pregnant. And I was just like, it's so important that we still get this right. So between all of us, from Michel to Phil, we all were like, okay, well, how are we going to do this and make sure that I'm safe? They were so conscious of that fact, baby's safe, everything like that. It was totally safe, but at the same time, still going to go. And yeah, it was just, I had a lot more breaks. I had a ton of breaks when I was getting lightheaded because I was panting so much, sitting down, things like that. And finding my lung capacity was different. And then baby's kicking me. I'm like, this is my moment, go away. So it was challenging, but it was also phenomenal. I was so proud of myself, and I think everyone. And then also Nina was also, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can reveal this, but she was pregnant at the time too. And so she was also conscious of me, and we shared that vibe of like, okay, she's like, I can't believe you're doing this pregnant. And I'm like, I can't either, but here I am. And so it was such a joy to be able to do that as an artist and an actor, and not feel like I sacrificed anything. I still was able to give my all because we all worked together to make sure it was still, what it needed to be.
No, and it shows as well. Like, and I did see Nina do a stream recently. I think she just got back to streaming, and she was talking about the fact that she was pregnant recently and going through that process. So, but it's very interesting because I feel like you got Philip Bache coming from one ear, and then also the baby kicking in the other one. I'm like, there's an ultimate test of a performance. I'm like, VO director and baby wanting both attention.
At moments, that baby, because I'm screaming, I'm going, and I'm like, and I feel it, and I'm like, okay, and baby's like, but you know what? I think because I had just come from doing 6 weeks in New York, I was doing play. And so I'm like, I think they know, but baby knows what's going on. So I feel like she was very aware because I was moving. I was performing every night, and I was screaming in that too. So I think like that's probably why she's a grumpy cat now, because it's like, I think that was what was going on. So I was very alert of my body and how to kind of, use my voice in the booth as well. Motion capture, it was a little bit different, obviously. So
we will come on to that because I'm sure there's things there, and I'll also bring the panic attack part in because I think there's a big conversation to be had about that later. But I want to quickly do something before we move on from the booth, and it's the fact that I heard Amelia sing "See You in Hell," and we also hear Andrea do her rendition of "See You in Hell." How was that, doing that rendition?
That was so fun. That was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life, and the scariest thing I think I've ever done. Like you always say, "Oh, I dream of being a rock star," and you're in your car and you're dreaming. You sing in a shower, you're doing your thing, and then the time comes where they're like, "Well, we're actually gonna put you in a booth with a microphone, and you're gonna sing live in front of people, and the mic is here to hear all your imperfections and how out of tune you are." And so, but then again, I was just like, I just have to go. I just have to have fun. And when I the first take, it was like, ugh. But once that went away, oh my gosh, it was just really fun. My voice was like hoarse by the end of it because it's like screaming, and they had different versions they wanted. Obviously, they wanted the crazy punk rock, the grunge, a little bit more tame. They had all these different versions. By the end, I had no voice, but I gave them all, and I sang like a rock star in a booth. So you know what?
I really enjoy the renditions. I will tell you that now. Nora Kelly can eat her heart out at this point. She might have wrote the song, but this is Andrea and Amelia's song now.
But she's awesome too. So
she is very awesome, and I'm going to segue into that for the motion capture. But before I do that, Nora also asks Autumn and the girls, like, what should we call the band name before it's Bloom and Rage? And the name is The Spew. What are your feelings on The Spew? Are you the Spew kind of person or Bloom and Rage kind of person?
No, I am not a Spew. I never was a Spew. I remember the amount of times she said that while we were doing motion capture, and I was just like, this is not the name of the band, and we would improv off of that as well. And sometimes, and I was just like, no, it is not the Spew. So no, I am Spew. Yeah, I'm still the same. I'm still with Autumn on that regard. Heck no.
Okay, I can completely respect that. And I think it's a good segue into the motion capture because we'll be talking about parts of that. Obviously, a big sequence is at the end of the first tape. You've seen it as well, how it plays out as well with the reveal of Kat and her condition and the big kind of twist with that. I'm just curious, what was your kind of experience like doing the See You in Hell performance on motion capture? And then also
Mm.
as well, I've heard from other people, i.e. Olivia, Amelia, saying that was like one of the more hectic days on production. What was your experience like on that day?
Yeah, it was very, very hectic because we had to get a lot done. I mean, like that's one thing about motion capture that I'm not used to. I mean, it's similar to film and television, but it's so fast. You got it.
Mhm.
Like you're doing hundreds of pages a day, and you're going through things really fast, and you have to get to it quickly. It's not, we didn't do 10 takes of anything. It was you get 2, 3 takes. This is what it's got to be.
Yeah.
And so, so go. And so for this, the CU and how the singing part, I mean, we were still trying to figure out how that's going to work as well. And what it was for Autumn was just that at first she was really scared and nervous about, there's all these people watching,
Mhm.
we're setting up this, why are they into our show? But by the end of the song or not the end, but by like to be building up to rocking out essentially with Nora, whereas Nora just kind of had that confidence from the beginning more so, or the so-called confidence. She puts on a better show.
Mm.
Autumn was way more chill with it. But yeah, the motion capture was, I remember it being really, I don't know, not dynamic, but just in terms of like, okay, because we filmed it was a lot longer. We were
Mhm.
doing the whole song, and then to Kat, and then Dylan and Corey coming in. Like we were that was very long for motion
Mm.
capture. It wasn't just snippets. It was quite long scenes. So it was which was kind of nice, but it was also like, okay, where's the next thing? But it was a lot of back and forth of what's going on. But everybody was like, everybody knew we had to get it. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's not like, okay, well, no, let's go. Everybody was ready to go. Like we were all filled. Everybody's like, this, boom, boom, boom.
No, and it sounds like obviously like the limitations. I think people don't see the motion capture. Like, I've that privilege of speaking to a lot of actors, and I've kind of when I hear your accounts, it's like it is just nonstop. I think
It's
that was
fast.
I've heard that with
Yeah,
Philip Bache when he was doing Life is Strange. It was like in and out of the booth quickly. Let's go. We need to
it's
get recordings
fast.
done. So
Yeah.
complete commendable to the performance, and it was amazing to watch. And I'm going to lead that into another question. So this is from our Patreon. This is from Carly, and she said, "Thank you so much for your time, Andrea. I'd love to know your favorite advantages and most interesting challenges of working on mocap set compared to TV and film."
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So it's fast, and because it is like sometimes hundreds of pages of dialogue, to learn that can be
Mhm.
really tricky. But it's like, okay, I have to know it because that's still very important for the story. So
Mhm.
what's nice about it though is you can have your script really nearby. So every time they're like, okay, next scene, back to teenage Autumn. Okay, adult Autumn, boom, 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 boom. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, I have my script, I can look at it, I can remember that, and then it goes kind of digest it, put it in, and go. Whereas film and television, you don't have the luxury of that. I mean, you can't really be on camera like, what is this? Okay, we'll go back. So that having it in that kind of feeling of we're working at depth, but we also know that this isn't necessarily our voice being recorded right now, which is
Mhm.
another thing. Whereas if the lines aren't perfect, nothing necessarily has to be perfect. You can improv some of them as long as the physicality and the emotion is there for the other scene partner. I found that is really in mocap just was very helpful for me, is just making sure that I'm connected to my scene partner is the number one thing regardless. I feel like there's just physical things where like I remember it was one of the first things where we were drinking at the bar, and you can't really bring the cup to your lips because they need to be able to fix it in animation and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I don't know, I was just like pretending to drink, and they're like, no, like it has to be a little further away. So there's where you kind of come back to theater, where you kind of have to suspend your imagination of what you're doing in the moment. Whereas film and television, you don't really have to do that as much. The cup is actually filled with water or your tea or everything.
Yeah.
Whereas mocap, it's you had to kind of so that was shifting my mindset of my imagination. My imagination literally had to go boom and just explode immediately, while also going, what's the technical side?
No, and we all see it because like we started to see more mocap stuff, and like when you look at a cardboard box and it's like, oh, was that a car? And it's like, yeah, that was a car
Yeah,
that was sat on. It's
yeah,
like they
yeah,
don't get to sit in a
yeah,
car. It's like they have to put their imaginations to the full test. So completely understand your experience from that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was going to ask you as well, like obviously, with this project as well, you are pregnant on this. I've never spoken to someone who's an actor who worked on a project when they were pregnant, and especially a
Mm,
mocap. I'm kind of just
mm.
curious, how did you find that dynamic? Because the days are getting faster, you're doing stuff, and then how was it kind of like the toll on your body? How was it going through that process? And then also just even a consideration, did you think at one point that you might not be able to do the mocap because you were that heavily pregnant?
Yes, yes. So one of the first times I went in, I think I was only, I want to say 5, 6 months pregnant. I
Mm.
think one of those times where I was able to do pretty much everything. And one of the other times I was very much, but then toward the end, I was, oh gosh, yes, I was 7 months pregnant. And that was, oy vey, that was a bit harder for me. I had just, like I said, I just finished doing New York and everything was good. But I think this is also 100%. The team was fantastic in terms of they brought someone else in who basically was being like, okay, if you can't do something, here's somebody else, they can do it. So you don't have to feel the pressure of it. And then at the same time, what happened was I found myself, I was like, oh, I'm sitting out for a lot of things that I feel like I'm capable to do. And so again, team, awesome. Luke messaged me, Phil messaged me, and they were like, are you okay? How are you feeling? And I was truthful. I was honest. I was like, well, I know I'm pregnant, but I want to do stuff. So, and they heard me. They were like, okay. So the next day they made sure I was suited up, ready to go. I did the ROM, I did everything, and I did a lot more things. So it was one of those situations where I was like, I could sit here and sulk, or I could just have a conversation with people who I know and trust, who understand that, like, of course there's limitations, and they were so respectful in having someone there to keep me safe and to keep everything safe. But at the same time, I was like, no, I am woman, hear me roar. I can do this. And so there was things that I could do that I was like, wait a minute, I can do some of this physicality. And then they were also concerned because my bump, which was just a technical thing, where my hips were changed. And so where the lineup of kind of the motion capture, where the sensors were, that changed. And so things like that, we all had to work around. But kudos again to the team of everybody just being like, okay, how do we do this? And I think that's what it's supposed to be in a workplace. It's not supposed to be about, okay, let's just exclude her or fear or anything like that. It's the opposite. It's like, okay, well, how do we work around this? And then it kind of just enhanced everything because everybody was more conscious. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like you all had a really good time as well. I've seen the photos of you and the other actors, and it seemed like they were really happy
Oh,
to
we
have
had
you there
so
whilst.
much fun. There was so much love on that set, especially toward this baby. Like, I was not expecting, especially with the girls, of course, but they were so loving toward me every step of the way. I was overwhelmed with it. I walked in and I was just like, the girls were so caring and just wanted to know everything. And then every time I was like, oh, the baby's kicking, or, they were there for it. And I think that also just, again, created a tighter bond between the four of us and between everybody.
Yeah, and it translates on the set. I think like the fact that you guys vibed off set and on set as well, it shows in the product, and it's always a testament to have those kind of experiences in the game. And I'm going to keep
Yeah.
this in the motion capture for the time being as well, because I'm going to say that we had a question from Kevin Kestis on Patreon. They said, "Hello, Andrea. How did you feel about Autumn telling Corey where Fawn's rest was after Swann couldn't calm her down?" So this is a sequence in tape 2.
Okay.
This is when the girls are fleeing the Mikaelsen ranch. They're just in the burning sequence. They've set it on fire. And then in there as well, you can find out that Corey makes his way into Fawn's rest, Fawn's curse, and Autumn has basically told him where the where Fawn's rest or curse is, and also as well, like, basically she can let you through the door. Because I when I played it through, I was like, oh, no, Autumn. I was like, I feel like I've been betrayed here. I was like, I can't believe you betrayed Swann like this. It's like just because I couldn't stop your anxiety, your panic attack. And I'm just curious, like, how do you feel about that sequence? Do you feel like people might be misinterpreting Autumn's response to that? Do you think it's more coming from a caring situation for the girls, rather than like a
Yeah, 100%. I feel like for the caring situation, I feel like what people might not understand about Autumn is that she constantly has to care and worry and take care and like she feels that need to protect these girls at all costs. That's the number one thing. And I know that's true of myself. It's just like I'm that type of person where as much as I don't want to rat on anybody, at the end of the day, I also want to make sure the people I care about the most are okay.
yeah,
And even if that hurts them, even if that's awful, I'm like, I have to protect the people I care about. And I think also just as being a Black woman, you don't know how bad something can get, and you want to be
yeah,
prepared for it. And you just like you're always towing that line of like, okay, I can be cool with my friends, but also what could actually go down here and what can happen. And you're constantly thinking about those two parallels, and it's not easy. You're always in that space. And I think Autumn is in that space a lot of the time, which is like, I want to be punk rock. I want to be with my friends. I want to support them 100%. But also I've been told my entire life to be careful because of these situations.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just what she deals with. So as annoying as that, or just like, oh no, Autumn, as that might be, I think understanding that, you know, she's that kind of down to earth in the sense of this could be bad. This, you know, things are happening that are bad, and I just want my friends to be okay.
Yeah, and it comes across, I think, like Autumn's a very complex character in the game. It seems like that
Yeah.
as well when I took away from it. It's like there's a lot of
Yeah.
trials and tribulations, and among many other
Yeah.
things. It feels like also the sound of voice, like, you know, the voice of reason actually for me as well for a lot of parts of that game. So I completely understand your interpretation.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like I was quickly circle back to like I never played tape one. My husband played tape one, so like I was sitting beside him the whole time, just like, what is he gonna pick? What is he gonna pick? What is he gonna pick? And watching, you know, the choices, and it's like, oh, like obviously he wants to pick the fun, crazy like choices of Kat and Nora. That's what I want to pick too, but that's not the reality of who Autumn is, and
Yeah.
also the way that she was brought up and raised, and you know, being predominantly around white individuals, like it's just not how she can act. And so I think that's a lot of also why she makes the choices that she makes. It's like she's fully in, but she also still has that thing that's always back there going, hey, so yeah, it's just, yeah.
No, and yeah, completely. That's completely understandable from my position. I can see how you feel about it, and I can see myself as well. I'm like, she is the voice of reason. She's saying a lot of things that are right. I'm like, Autumn here.
Unfortunately, story of my life, every friend group, everything, every role, I am the voice of reason.
always happens. And with this project as well, I'm just curious because one thing I actually thought about recently was the fact that, you know, your scenes are a lot with Olivia Lepore and also with Amelia, especially with like this like, you know, intimate scenes with both characters in terms of one-on-one. But one thing I noticed just recently was like with Kat, it's a bit different, the dynamic with Autumn and Kat. And it's more about the interacting when they're in the group. Did you find that as well when you were doing the production? You're like, hang on a minute, why am I not doing that much with Natalie here? Even though in the group sessions you would be when there's four of you together, but like maybe not just a single individual scene.
Honestly, I never really thought about that. Truthfully, I didn't. Maybe because most of the time, if it was all four of us together, like we were always kind of together doing things. Whereas I never really noticed that it wasn't as much I wasn't acting as much with Nat. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's probably because she scares me. And I'm like, as Autumn also, I was just like, I don't want to interact with whatever that is over there. You know, I don't want to do the knife on the hands thing. And I don't want to do the blood pact. And I do want to do all those things. But at the same time, I don't. So that's probably what it is. It's like, and you know, although Nora always has, you know, she talks a big talk. She's always like, okay, let's do this. At the same time, I can usually talk her off a ledge. Whereas Kat, I can't do that. She's just game to go and do whatever she wants to do. So I think that's part of probably what it is. It's just, I'm gonna steer clear of that. Even though I love her and her energy, I'm still gonna give it a little bit of space. That's my guess is that's probably what it is.
I like that interpretation. I think it probably would make sense because they are very much polar opposites in certain respects. I think there's respect there, but it's very polar opposites in terms of personality and vibe. And I'm going to take this back to Autumn as well, because I'm going to ask you as well from Patreon. This is from a Kevin Lackner question. They said, what part of Autumn's personality do you relate to the most? And what part felt the most foreign to you?
I wish I had a better answer for this. Okay, the part that is most me is that I am usually the most like mothering, nurturing, mature person in the group. It's just the fact. I can have the most fun in the world. I am like the most chill person. I'm all those things, but at the end of the day, I'm usually the voice of reason. I'm usually the person who's like, okay, guys, but what are we doing? Like, what is this? What's, you know, and it's like, I want to be the daredevil and I want to do all those things. But at the same time, I really do attempt to just be my upbringing of just my parents being like, you need to chill because people are going to look at you differently if you do that thing that way. And so it's been ingrained in me. And as much as I'm like, I want to just go off and do all these things. So I think that, you know, but then I also really, really, really feel like my heart is the same as Autumn's. Like I truly care for people on a deep level. Like if I feel like you are my friend, you're my friend for life. If you need me for anything, I will be there for you. Like that's the thing. And I think with all of the girls, the way Autumn is, like she will try and be there for them, whether it's not what they want. That's that's the thing, is you might not want to hear what I have to say, but I'll be there for you. And was the other part that how we're different?
What part
Or
feels
was it
most foreign to you about Autumn?
skateboarding?
My co-host Adam is heartbroken at this point. He loves skateboarding. He's gonna be like, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with skateboarding, because I was so worried about that, and I was watching videos, and I was like, how to do this, da, 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 da. And then they were just they again, imagination. It was just a box where I was just like, they showed me how to put my feet, and I was like, kind of like kick push off of it, but I cannot skateboard. I mean, I think if I really, really practice a lot, I'd be pretty good. And my balance is decent, but there's something about the mechanics of that. And maybe it's also because I want to look cool on a skateboard. Like I want to just chill and like glide. I can't do that. So I'm gonna go with skateboarding.
I respect your
Foreign.
honesty, Andrea. I really do, because like my toxic trait is watching Tony Hawk do that flip, and I'm like, I could do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'll probably do it, and I break my neck, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't do it like that. But no,
Yeah, you
um,
did.
my co-host Adam will be like heartbroken because he's a big skater
I'm
fan,
so sorry, Adam.
but
I'm so
he'll
sorry.
I'm sure he will forgive and forget. And
Okay.
I'm going to move this forward into also yourself and also Autumn. So I'm going to try and connect 2 dots. Because obviously, I speak about this because of one of the experience I had with an actor who did Life is Strange, and he played one of the father figures, and he was saying that he had a child at the time as well, and the character he plays dies in the game, and he's also has sons, and he leaves them. I'm just curious, during the game, did your perception of Autumn change? No, sorry, during the game, when you were doing the motion capture, the voiceover, did your perception of Autumn change, knowing that you were about to have a child, and what was going through your head in terms of that moment, those moments?
Yes. Well, now if I think about it, I'm going to start crying. But yeah, for sure. I think it was such a gift to be pregnant, and especially during autumn, adult autumn, because I was just an emotional ball of love and fear and all those things. And so I was, yeah, anytime there was anything about having a child, those kinds of lines, I was just, yeah, my heart was so full, and I could just imagine them, because I was in that state of
Yeah.
like trying to visualize my own child's face and like all that stuff. So it was right there for me to grab, which was just really, really beautiful. So it definitely influenced everything. Once it's like you think this thing, oh, this is gonna be so hard now, and it is, that I have to go on pregnant, and then you accept the thing that is difficult, and boom, it just opened up so much doors for me, where as an actor, that's the dream, is the thing that you think is going to be the one that's hindering you becomes the thing that's everything. And it just, yeah. So yeah, if I talk about it too much, I'm going to turn into a puddle, Adnan.
I completely understand, because I think like even your adult version, the character has like her relationship woes and situations with children as well, and it's like I completely understand where these things start to become quite like, it starts to bleed into your real life. You're like, I'm seeing these experiences, and I'm going to kind of keep on to this as well, because like, hypothetically speaking, it's a hypothetical scenario that one day you end up walking into a room and your child is playing Lost Records with Rage without you knowing, and it's playing there. It's like, oh mum, like you were Autumn. I'm just curious, what's one thing you'd hope she would see in your performance as Autumn that stands out, whether it's adult Autumn or child Autumn, where you feel like that's something I'd hope that would catch her eye?
I'll get to the autumn thing, but the first thing I would be so proud that she's playing this game. This game is so important, I think, especially for young women, and I have a daughter, so I feel like it's such a great, just also because there's so many men in this industry, so it's just like, for this game to be out there by the creators, and like to have that for women, that's just, in that alone, I would be like, this is phenomenal. That's great. And then to see these 4 strong female characters that all have their own strengths, I'm just like, you just pick any of them, that they all have their own strengths, and the as Swann, and that they're real. They're not just like versions of kind of like girls and teenage girls. They're real people, like that you get to kind of see, and that realness comes through. And then, I mean, I think I would be probably just laughing a lot of the time of like, what do you think of Autumn? What's coming across? And like, do you think that's your mom? Or do you think your mom's not as cool as that? Because she hopes to be as cool as Autumn, really, truly. And then also just, again, how to care for your friends, like how to care for people in your life. I feel like a lot of people shy away from love, and that, it's okay to love each other. I feel like the world
Yeah.
needs so much more of that right now. And in friend groups and in relationships, it's just okay to love out loud. And I would just tell her, watch how they love each other, watch how these girls love each other, and that's okay.
Yeah, and it's crazy as well because obviously like the character is in the 90s, and like that in itself
Mhm.
will be even more alien to her when she gets older because
Mhm.
she's Generation Alpha just on the end of that, and it's like it'll
Oh
be even
God.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me feel old with that, and there's actually a
Yeah.
question that will make you feel like that in a minute, but I'll come on to that in a moment. But I was just thinking as well, and this is a little bit tongue in cheek and also serious. I was like, she's pregnant during the production. We need baby names. Autumn.
Mm.
That's a really nice name. Was there ever any consideration it was thrown into the hat?
You know what? I'm going to say there wasn't, but only because we were convinced it was a boy.
Right.
We only had one boy name picked and we didn't know the gender. And then she came and she was a girl. So we thought for the longest time, like, oh, for sure, it's going to be a boy. So so Autumn wasn't, although the name Autumn is so perfect, which is funny because originally I thought her name was Anna because that's what the script said. I'm so grateful they changed it to Autumn. No offense to any Annas, but I just love Autumn. Yeah.
Yeah, Autumn's a vibe and it suits the
It's a
game, and
vibe. Autumn is
yeah,
like, okay, I want to know Autumn. What you up with? Yeah.
and completely understandable to think the boy was coming but as a girl, and life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and this is
Yeah.
also one as well, Andrew, as well, because this is going to make you feel a little bit old, this question, but as you
Okay.
will. This is from
Yeah.
Carly again from Patreon. She put a second question. Feel free to ignore this for this time, Adnan. I was like, no, we're not ignoring this. Andrea, what's something nostalgic from your teen years that you're most excited to share with your child? I told you it's a.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it kind of relates to the game. I worked at Blockbuster. And so I lived working at Blockbuster. Blockbuster was my jam. Like when I got the job, I think I was 15 or 16. When I got the job at Blockbuster, it was like, this is it. This is the best job in the world. And all just having access to all these films and movies is where I became even more in depth with just like the industry and just like loving everything because I had like 10 movies rented a week. So I still have an entire box in my basement of DVDs. So like, even though we have Netflix and all these things are just being able to grab it, oh, we're pulling out DVDs, we're pulling out VH, like we're gonna do that for sure. Even if it's like, Mom, we could just buy it or click it. We need to get the DVD in. We need to just like have that going. So it's gonna be for sure DVD, just because that's my nostalgia, or just like VHS is just to feel that kind of, I don't know. There's something about it when you have to rewind it or when it skips and all this stuff like that. Yeah. So my experience kind of actually selecting something and then.
No, that's very cool. I think I just when I was listening to the interview with Michel on the Gone Gold show, he was saying that they even wanted to make the movie palace open inside the store, so you could actually explore it, but limitations and whatnot, so they didn't do it. So I
Yeah.
was like, I feel like Andrea's character being at the Yooper Scooper is like a nod to
Mm-hmm.
that, being like you're
Mm-hmm.
near a blockbuster, so that's like a kind of like a
Yeah.
nod to you.
Oh,
But I know
yeah.
that experience myself. I just know people who will never experience like rewinding a videotape, or even that frustration when someone didn't rewind the videotape, put it into Blockbuster case, and you sat there and all
Yeah.
left the room to rewind it so
Yeah.
you didn't get spoiled. Um,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
I'm sure hopefully you guys will share something very special like down the line when she
I
gets
hope so
older.
too. I think so. Also, like her dad is so even more like I'm nostalgia. He is 1,000 times more like everything has no nostalgic for sure. No, we need to go back into this. So I'm pretty sure she's gonna be watching at least DVDs. So
And long live the physical media. Always support them in physical media. I mean, Lost Records
yeah,
is coming out physically in August as well, so
yes,
definitely go and buy that and support your independent developers and keep physical
yes.
media alive. So, Andrea, I'm going to go to a very important part here as well. This is very much your sequence here, which is the panic attack. This happens in tape 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted to talk to you as well because you said earlier you worked as a personal support worker. You've done stuff like that, and then even in the game as well, like um, your character becomes a sport worker. Is it sport worker? I'm just double checking this quickly before
Yep,
someone comes to me.
100%.
Yes, as a
Yes.
sport worker. Um, those experiences, you work with people who have different lived experiences. I'm just curious,
Mm-hmm.
when you did this scene, you approached it, were there any personal experiences you drew from maybe yourself or from other
Mm-hmm.
people you knew, or was this
Mm-hmm.
something that you went in blind and just did
Mm-hmm.
in the moment?
Okay, so for the mocap, the panic stuff for the mocap, I didn't do the physical stuff. I was too
Yep.
pregnant at that point. So I didn't do the physical body of it, but I did do all the voice for it. And yeah, I've dealt with anxiety pretty much since I was 16. So I've had my own, I guess, interactions with panic attacks and anxiety and what that kind of feels like. So I definitely was able to draw on that or look into that, just that feeling of when the world is kind of like closing in on you, and what do you
Yeah.
do, and how do you actually breathe? And through therapy and through my therapist, just learning techniques and the seeing things that, if anyone, like, I don't know how it works, but picking that path of kind of being able to choose a Swann, being like, okay, what do you see in the room? What are you picking out? Like, that's a real technique that I've used in my life, where I'm like, okay, it's usually all five senses. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? Whatever. And you say those things to yourself. And so, yeah, I definitely resonate with that. In terms of personal support work, I've never really had to help anyone through a panic attack. I've helped individuals through seizures and things like that. And so the attention and the care, but in the moment, it's you really shut everything out. And so I'm assuming that, Swann is just trying to shut everything out to help Autumn and to focus on, okay, what does Autumn need in this moment? What does the person need? Because it's more important than anything else is to just help the person. But at the end of the day, you just got to help them get through this. And so I think that was what what you do is just, how do I help this person?
And it was very interesting to see, and I completely messed out like many times in the game, which is, it was difficult to kind of navigate it. And when you get thrown in that situation, it's like, oh, what do you do here? So I completely understand from Swann's position and also from Autumn's position of dealing with something like that. Obviously, you said that you didn't do the motion capture, but did you get the chance to watch it on set when it was happening?
Yes, I was there. I was sitting nearby to say, that's not how I walk. No, they said if anything looks off or different, or that's not how you do something, of course, chime in. But like, obviously the actor was great. They were,
Yeah, what was it like watching that experience? Because obviously, and I'm comparing it to your experience doing it in the VO booth, because obviously there's great benefits and pros and cons of doing motion capture and VO separately. And with obviously, like, if you're doing a motion capture, you can feed off Olivia Lepore's energy, the scene goes back and forth. But with this, you then kind of go away and do it separately in the recording booth. What was your experience like in that, in terms of watching it and then seeing how you went and did your performance afterwards?
I mean, it was twofold. One of it was, I was trying to go, you're not being recast. You're not, like, she's not stealing your part. You're still an actor. Don't melt into like the abyss of your life. And so, because that's just where the actor brain goes. You get so terrified over every little thing, and it's just like, no. She's here to help you, and And then there was this other side of it, which was really lovely, to be able to step out of it and actually watch it, because you're in it the whole time. So I was able to step back and see, like, oh, that's what it looks like when Swann interacts with Autumn. And that was kind of lovely to have going into the booth, because I had never had that image in my head of what does it actually look like? How is their relationship when they are close? When do they touch each other? Do they touch each other? Like, all that kind of stuff. So it was, that side of it was really, I was fortunate in that way to be able to see that and go, oh, that's really beautiful. That's something different. And to step back and go, this is what it looks like. This is the making of, oh, okay. So that was actually a gift.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed watching that afterwards when I messed up the first time. So I completely understand what you're saying. Because I was like, I can't believe I messed this up, and she's disappeared. And I was like, great. I was like, I'm sat at the abyss on my own with a Swann. I was like, yeah, this sums up my story. I'm going to take you down a very deep route here as well, because obviously the dynamic of this game is set in that adult timeline. It's set in that bar. I think they even said that the concept story idea was very much focused on like characters reuniting. Is there someone in your life you wish you could reconnect with after playing this game 27 years later, if you could sit in the bar?
There are a lot of people I think I would love to reconnect with. I feel like it would be very scary. It would be like almost like terrifying. Sorry, you hear my baby in the background. She's just like, I would like to say things. Yeah, there'd be a lot of people, because I feel like as you get older, there's so many people that come in and out of your life, and for whatever reason, but to sit down with some of them now and just have a conversation, even if shit went down, even if fucked up things happened, to just be able to go, let's just talk, let's just sit, it would be probably really hard and scary. And like, now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. But just to sit in front of that person after all of that went down, like, yeah, I would, and almost all of the people who are not in my life now, like, I would do that. I would want to do that, just to have a conversation. I feel like just to see where they're at, and to talk, like, that would be,
Yeah, and it feels like it as well. I remember that. I feel like the opening part of that game's not rated as highly as by people, where it's like, that slow build of in terms of, you see Swann meeting up Autumn and it's very awkward at first and it's like these two
Yeah,
jammed, but it's like it is true though, like after 27 years you could be completely different people and gone through all different life experiences, and one summer
exactly.
doesn't define anything. So no, it's very interesting to hear
Exactly.
your perspective on that. And then I'm going to take you as well in a little bit in terms of one scene, and I know you haven't got to it yet, but it's
Mm-hmm.
centers around the abyss, and you'll remember recording stuff like this. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
curious. Start with Jordan Dawson, who plays Corey as well. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain scenes where we know Autumn's a little bit more reserved, but then she's also very like when she wants to bite, she'll bite. I'm curious, how did you find those one or two moments where you worked with him on the motion capture, and then also seeing him go from 1 to 100, and then also just putting your chin up at him when you needed to?
I felt so bad because he was just thrown into this mix and he's so lovely. He's such a nice guy that it was just like we are all yelling at you and hating on you so heavily. And he handled it like such a professional. He was
Mhm.
just, he knew that that was what his job was and what it was called for. And I was like, oh, it makes it easier. It's like a breath. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like I can go, I can say whatever I need to say to him, or we can just like attack him literally and not feel like he's taking nothing personal. Like he was just professional about the whole thing. And it's like, that's hard to come in and as a bunch of four women are just like saying all these things to you, and he's just going for it. The fuck he's and doing all of it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense why he was cast, because he just boom, he was right there with us to do it. And so yeah, I was just so thankful and grateful that he just immediately, and like it can be chaos. Like I said, we're moving so fast on those days that it's just,
Yeah.
we've already created this relationship with each other for almost years now, that when he came in, it was just like, okay, but like he just knew where he was going and what to do. And it was made it so much easier for us to yell at him for a couple hours.
Yeah, and absolutely, I think like obviously all the actors have said he's a wonderful, wonderful human being, and like he's playing
Yes,
the
yes.
villain to a T. And there's a big
Hmm.
sequence for you guys, which is obviously the abyss sequence where Kat
Hmm.
confronts Corey. They both end up
Hmm.
going in the abyss, determining how you do it. But I'm just curious,
Yeah.
what was the motion capture like filming that day, or were you too heavily pregnant on that
I
day?
think I was, yeah, I think I was too heavily pregnant for that day. Yeah, no, I didn't do that day. I did the voice for that. And
Okay.
so, again, that was just so much shouting and like just, and the amount of, that's one thing is like you think you're like, oh, this is maybe sound awful, but voice acting or video game acting, it's not as hard, it's not as tough. I'm like, no, I can eat every single one of those words. It was one of the most challenging days of my life that I'd ever had. And that wasn't because Phil or whoever was pushing. No, it's just hard because it requires a stamina of 4 hours of you going to these depths. And I'm never, ever, ever going to be the type of artist that just kind of throws it in and just like, okay, that's enough. Or like, I tried it. It's like, I want to get it and I want to do it again. And I want to do it again and again and again and do it better each time. And so
Mm.
each time I was doing it, I was going harder and harder and pregnant. So like just from the voice perspective of it, I didn't even have the like knowledge of what we were doing physically from
Mm.
doing the mocap, but even just from the voice of it, that was, yeah, it was definitely one of the hardest days as an actor to for 4 hours plus to be like, okay, we are going. So yeah.
No, and I think you made a good point, which is that I think that some people underestimate the acting process in this, because I think it's the
They
most
do.
challenging. And I think
It's
even with Philip Bache as well, like I've told Olivia this story because I think he might have told you about Gonzalo Martin. He worked with Life is Strange 2, who plays
mm,
Sean Diaz, and he told him like, if you want to be a spoiled brat, go and sleep on the street. Gonzalo went and slept on the street. He lived and breathed that character. He won a BAFTA at the end of it. He's
mhm,
the only Life is Strange actor
mhm,
to win a BAFTA. And it shows the
mm.
performance. So, and I even said to, funnily enough, I said to Victoria last interview, she was like, I didn't know Philip Bache. I was like, yeah, you're not going to forget him at the end of this. It's like he's going to push you and he's going to get your
No.
performance out there. And I've only
Yeah.
ever heard great
Yeah.
things about Philip Bache, and that's I think the expectation you get with a director like that, because he's going to really make you
Yeah.
find something in this. And as you said, you go down to those
Yeah.
depths, you find the
And
difficult parts.
that's something that I value, and I learned so much from this experience. I have so much more respect for the gaming community, for the people who make games, for
Yeah,
voice actors, for everything, because I'm like, holy crap, until you really know from the other side, there's so much that goes into that, and so much that goes into it as an actor, that like, I first of all, I would do it 100 times again, but it's just like, wow, it requires so much stamina and, like I said, imagination from the mocap art, but so much more than what I could have ever imagined. So I'm so appreciative to have learned that and be on this side of it.
No, absolutely, and it's a really, really interesting experience. But one place that you did get to sit was next to your partner when they were playing Lost Records Bloom Rage, and you
Yeah,
saw tape
yeah,
one.
yeah.
What do you think the Abyss is?
Ooh. I mean, I'm hopeful that I'm hopeful mostly because of Kat. I'm hopeful that it isn't just like the end of something. I'm hopeful that it goes to somewhere or something, that it's a transport of something. And I don't know what that might be or how that could be, but I'm hopeful that it is not the end and it is the continuation of something, whether it is a spiritual world, whether it's something else, whether I don't know. But I am hopeful that it is something else, that it just, it leads to something else. But what I do know is it's powerful. That I'm sure of. It is very powerful.
It does seem like that, and I'm not going to spoil what happens with Autumn and the Abyss and stuff because I want you to play. I know you've done the lines and stuff, but I do want to just like leave it so you can see it in the final product. But I'm just curious, if you were standing on the Abyss, what would you throw in if you had the chance?
Oh. It's so weird because it's like I feel like I want to throw in something that's precious, but not too precious because I might never get it back. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is just like I write poetry, so a piece of poetry, like a piece of something that I wrote that I could give to it that was creative. Okay. Yeah, that like I wrote to it.
Kat would enjoy that. She would look at it and be like, I'm vibing.
And then maybe Kat on the other side of it would be able to read it.
No, it's interesting because I asked Victoria about that and she didn't answer it, even though she's in the music video. She didn't answer it. I was like, and she was like, I'm not sure what it is. And then funnily enough, I think off the top of my head, Amelia and Olivia picked hair, and it was a certain person's hair. So I think Olivia's, it was her best friend Megan, who passed away at a young age. She'd throw that in there. And I think Amelia, believing that it would be good and it's within good like desire and intention, I believe she said she would throw her niece's hair in there, like a little ribbon of it, which was quite nice. So I was like, that's actually quite touching as a response. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want you to say hair as well, because I was like, this might be a trend that with all the
We're all throwing in our hair, different locks of hair. No, I think I would write something to the Abyss.
No, absolutely, and I think it's really interesting to see how it all unfolds. And we're coming towards the finish line. I know I've got you so much, and thank you so much for your time as well. It's amazing.
No problem.
But one thing I wanted to ask you, obviously, I spoke to you then saying that, the experience, and this might make you cry, but like in the sense of you saw how you felt about Autumn during the process, you were also pregnant and felt the process. In the here and now, what do you think about Autumn now having your baby? That child is here. What do you think of that character when you look at her?
I love Autumn. I love her through and through. I learned so much over 4 years and more, and being pregnant, working with Autumn, and I feel like, it's probably one of the only characters I've ever spent this long with over time, and that's such a gift. As an actor, you don't really get that opportunity very often, and so I'm just so fortunate that whenever it comes back where I'm like, I get to work on Autumn again, and she's so, I feel like she's so me too, where it's like I don't have to put anything else really on other than aging difference, but other than that, I'm like, she's just me, and it's really awesome to be able to go into a booth and sit down and like use your own voice and use your own personal stuff to draw on and not feel like it's that far from you. Yeah, so that is something, and I'm proud. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of like the the character and who she is and what she does. I feel like she again is not maybe the most badass out of everybody truly, but I actually think she is the most badass because she has to make the toughest decisions even when she just wants to have fun with her friends or go crazy or punk out like that, to actually have to go, well, wait a minute, and have the sense there. I'm like, that's kind of badass. Like nobody wants to do that, but she kind of has to, and so I feel like I love her for that. And yeah, I can't wait to kind of really see all of and play all of tape 2. I'm really excited just to see how my husband reacts to stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil anything for you, so I'm gonna like not go into those two that much territory. Those get on tape. But I do want to ask you something as well, because obviously you saw it in tape 1. I think it's early in the game, when Swann turns up to the garage and they're playing in the band, and even Nora does that little jesty thing where she's like, quote unquote, stirs shit up, and she's like, well, Autumn didn't think you'd turn up. And, even there's like a little bit of a forgivable sense from like, I think you hear the audio over from your adult version, and Autumn's like, I'm sorry, Swann, that you heard that. I didn't mean that. what do you make of her like general feelings of like, you know, in the way that Autumn presents herself? Because you said like, you know, she's the voice of reason, but then she's also a little bit like with Swann, it feels like a little bit distant
Mm,
at first, but then it kind of like, ooh,
mhm,
I'm kind of your vibe. It's like, ooh, you should come to
mm,
the watch a film with us because I'm going to get you out of the situation with Corey and Dylan. What do you think about it? Do you think
mm.
she's just a little bit like a little bit suspecting of Swann first, or is it just because of her personality she's a little bit like
No,
individualistic?
I don't think she's suspect of Swann. I still think Autumn likes to poke fun at everybody. Like I
Yeah.
still think she's constantly just like, especially at Nora, but she's always poking fun at everybody. So I think that's
Mhm.
just also her way of showing love and like take a breath, chill. Like it's okay. I didn't think you would show. Like there's
Yeah.
that she's just gonna poke a little fun to hopefully lighten the situation and the awkwardness as well around people. I don't think she's necessarily suspect of her because I think from her early interaction, she truly is interested. She wants to know a little bit more about who is this chick, okay? Like, and what? She ain't got no friends. We could be your friend. Like, I think that's there from the very beginning, and I really do feel like that's Autumn and that's me. Like, I'm always interested in okay, who is this person? What do they got going on over there? And then the more I start to get to know them, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I really like their vibe. I want to chill with
Yeah.
them even more. Come hang out.
I like that. No, that's well. I think with the characters as well, as you play, they do shit stir with each other a lot, and I'm like,
Oh
I just
yeah,
think it's just
yeah,
teenage girls being teenage girls at this point. So I'm like,
yeah,
as
yeah.
as you will, so that's completely understandable. And I said teenage
Mhm.
girl, but I also wanted to ask you because you alluded to it earlier, and it has been a conversation because I think Michel said as well, and I've got a quote from him. He
Mhm.
said, "Women in their 40s are very underrepresented in gaming as a whole." End quote. And he also said it was in gaming especially as well. And I've just
Mhm.
seen as well recently Desiree Sifri, who's one of the American writers, talked about the fact that she was like, I, you know, even if I don't get this job as a writer, I'm excited to play this game because you represent women in the 40s. But one thing that really stands out
Mhm.
for me, it's women in the 40s, but then also a black character who's a woman in her 40s. I'm kind of just curious, like,
Mhm.
what did your experience feel like when you saw that actually I'm going to be both playing a teenage character, but then also a black character in her 40s, and then it's in this medium
Mhm.
which I've never actually touched before either, in terms of as an
Mhm.
actor.
Yeah, at first I was like, let's go. This is such a challenge. I mean, especially and then once we started being in the booth and mocap, having to switch back and forth
Mhm.
and being very clear in my mind what defines the teenage version of Autumn and what defines the adult version of Autumn. And just that especially what happens at the end is just over the years, she's gone through some shit. And that shit has kind of, it's aged her. And she,
Mhm.
you know, even though she's always been mature, that she really and truly starts to go to the other side of like, and be and I think also reaching out to them and that they're older and being like this
Yeah.
box, like this, you know, we need to meet up. We need to deal with this. I'm not going to just ignore this anymore. Yeah, I think also finally we're at a point where I think there's a lot more obviously black women being shown portrayed in different ways. They're not just one type of woman. They're not just one type of stereotype. And that's always my fear when I'm acting. I'm not going to just be the angry black woman or not going to be this type of stereotype. And I think that's one of the great things about Autumn is she's so many things and we get to see
Yeah.
that from the teenage version to the adult version. It's just she's full of all the time, all the emotions of just. I'm stuttering because I'm getting scared talking about this. I'm getting scared talking about it, but it's true. It's just that I know that in myself as a black woman. It's just I always want to be my authentic self and I don't always get the opportunity to do that. And when I get the opportunity to do that, and I think that's what Autumn does, is she is her authentic self, especially as the 40-year-old. Even though she is scared, she's still being who she is. And especially coming back to the town where she's predominantly the only black person.
Yeah.
And, you know, she feels that in the bar. She kind of feels that with the bartender. It's always kind of there. And I live in a small town right now. I feel that all the time. So I could you feel that. And then it's like, how do you navigate that? How do you still spend love to everybody, regardless of the fact? It doesn't, it doesn't matter. But it's very clear to me now. I'm like, oh, okay, well, Autumn is she's me. She's
Yeah.
my lived experience. She's a lot of black women's lived experience from teenage years to now of just what we have to go through and how we have to navigate. And it's not always fun, but we do it. And I think a lot of black women do it with grace.
Yeah, and I think like as I said, Desiree just recently said like, to get the chance to write characters who have my lived experiences is amazing. And she's not black; she's a white woman. But I think like she also
Mhm.
just sees it as Autumn is a woman as well, and it's just like what I can tell her story of like the trials and tribulations, and obviously the American writers did wonderful, Nina and Desiree, in that project, which is always great to see with that. Final few questions and then we'll wrap up, because obviously I know I've had you for a while, and thank you so much. And baby has not come in and caused absolute havoc, which is always a
I'm surprised. Dad is working. He's doing his thing.
He's doing wonders. And also as well, we need to change the ice cream name for that baby, because that
Yeah,
baby
yeah.
has delivered
Yeah,
fully
yeah,
for this
yeah.
interview. So I'm going to take you back through the entire project in terms of motion capture, voiceover. There are always funny moments in this project. Motion capture, bloopers. Someone does something. Olivia is just like laughing hysterically, and Philip Bache's like, "Come on, Olivia, stop it!" And it's like something's happened. What was your standout memory from the motion capture? Some kind of moment of hilarious scene, something that just like
the only thing that comes to mind, and I know I think Amelia mentioned this, but I swear it was so funny. We took a photo, and Nat was hugging me, and her hand is like my hand is like in her hand, and like we're gripped so tight. And I just remember when we zoomed in, we thought that was absolutely hilarious, because we're just so awkwardly holding each other, but that's also teenage years. And then whenever we were teenagers, the immediate bubbling of going into the teenage world of like, what are we laughing at? We would just start laughing and giggling, and it became so real to feel that kind of teenage energy of laughing. But that was it. I feel like we would always giggle and laugh at Phil. Like it was just, we were, especially as teenagers, that was to stay in character. And that was so much fun to do, like on mocap. We would just be like, and then it would go right into like the scene, which was perfect. So I love that.
Amid that as well, because I don't know if you were, again, heavily pregnant, you couldn't do it, the ethereal dance sequence in tape 2, which you haven't seen yet. Were you involved in that process?
I didn't get to do that. I've seen it. I'm very sad about that. I would have liked to have danced my life away. I didn't get to do that because I was trying to like deliver a baby or something. So I didn't get to do that part, but it's beautiful. I've cheated a little, and I've seen a cut scene of it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. Like what they do with this game cinematically, it's just stunning.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think you got segue there for you as well, because this is my last Patreon question that I have before my final question. This is from Kevin Lackner from Patreon. He asked, what do you hope players take away from Autumn's story?
I hope that they realize that she's, like you said, complex, and it's not as simple as, she has to juggle a lot of balls, and she wants to fit in with her friends. She wants to fit in with her friends really badly, and she does love them, but she also has to juggle the side of what it means in the 90s to be a Black teenager surrounded by other teenagers. Like it's not, so that's a huge aspect of who she is and the decisions that she makes. It's not so simple as like, why is she always stopping people from doing things? Because she's really nervous about that stuff. And so I feel like understanding that she's complex, understanding that she is also always going to be there for the thing, though, always going to be like, okay, let's do this, let's try. She's not, she wants to try, she wants to be a part of it, and that she just has a really big heart. Like I know for a fact that that's what leads her and Swann together so much, and like it's just that's how she can relate. And I know that of me and Olivia, it's just that I have nothing but love for her, and that kind of, that she has a very big heart.
No, I like that question. I like that answer to that question, sorry. And I think you set it up perfectly for my final question, which is what I was going to say as well, because you mentioned that, Olivia, you mentioned, them two reconnecting in terms of Autumn and Swann. And this always feels like a perfect question to end on as well, because obviously Autumn comes to the bar, the Blue Spruce, with a Blue Mirage package that comes from Kat. But my question is to you, and this applies to yourself and the other actors. Say you had wrapped up the production of this set and there was a Blue Mirage package and you had to put something in there and then not open it for 27 years until you guys all reunited. What would you put in there? And then what do you think the other actors would put in there? If that's a bit too difficult for that, that's fine. But what would you put in there?
So as Andrea, what would I put in it as
Andrea? What would you like to put in that box? Luke
for
just
27 years later.
Yep, Luke just sums up with a box. He's like, Andrea, got a box, got a Blue Mirage box. We're going to get the actors to put something in here. We're locking it away for 27 years. You've put something in here.
Oh my gosh. This is really hard. I think, yeah, I can only think of things from, my daughter. I feel like I would 100%. I did not expect that I was almost going to cry like 3 times on this podcast, and thank you for that. But no, I would probably, okay, no, I'm not going to cry. It's not going to happen. I would probably put in like one of her favorite toys or onesies or something that I would put in. And
To add on to that as well, Amelia said that if she had to pick out an object for you to put in there, it would be your daughter's pacifier.
yeah, I mean, she hates pacifiers, but yes, something like that. Because she for sure. Oh gosh, wipe away my tears. It would definitely be. That's the only state I live in right now. She's my world, and I'm obsessed with her. So I think I can't think of anything else. But for Nat. Something for, she has like a little dog, something for her dog. She has this like little tiny dog that I think she would put, maybe like a dog collar or something like that, or something badass that has to do with her like workout and fighting. Olivia, probably something to do with her rabbits or T-Swift or something a little bit more serious. I'm not sure. This is a bit quick segue. Speaking of panic attacks, is like one of the first moments that I had with Olivia was an audition, and she herself was kind of going through a panic attack. And I remember it like it was, I didn't know her at all, and I had said like, I got you. Like, I'm gonna be there for you no matter what happens in this audition. Like, I got you. Even if you forget lines, I'll hold you down. And so I feel like something to do with, like, I don't know, dealing with anxiety or dealing with somehow, how do you deal with that situation when it comes up? Not necessarily like that she has that, but she might put something in that would help somebody else.
I agree with that as well, because it feels like this role really empowered her. Made obviously her public battles, she's been very open about that, and I think even Amelia said that she'd put Olivia's hospital wristband in from her battle with Crohn's, which she's obviously been very open about and talked about as well.
Exactly. So. Yeah, something that would be helpful to somebody else, like to see that they're also, you're not alone in whatever you're dealing with. And then Amelia,
this is the big one.
I know. It's not like a physical thing, but I'm like, she would just like, could she just put in like a ball of love that is the essence of her, because she's absolutely amazing. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. So I feel like, or just like, she's just like the most kind. I don't know. Hers is the hardest. I think it's the hardest for me because of Amelia, that I'm just like, I don't know what object she would put in. I
agree with you actually. After
what did she say? What did she say she would put in?
So
the lock? No, that was the abyss. Do you know?
What did she put in there now? I can't remember what she would.
Okay, we'll have to go back or figure that out, because I'm like,
I think it might be. I think it might be a photo of her niece. I think.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. But like,
I also get what you mean, though. I get what you mean, though, because she's a very interesting person. I spoke to. You're all interesting, by the way. I'm just double that. No, but she's very philosophical about things. I thought that was very interesting. So I get what you mean when you said like, what would it be like? You'd want to just put her energy into the box and be like,
thank you. Yes, I want to be able to put like who she is and what she can give to other people, the support, the energy, the love, the work ethic. Like, literally, can I create a miniature version of her that just goes in? Because it sounds so weird, but like anytime I ever worked with her or talked to her or anything, it's just like she's always been nothing but love and respect that's come my way, that I'm like, I feel like
maybe we can put her coaching leaflet in. Be like, there you go.
Or something like literally, if you need any type of guidance, boom, call this number, her phone number.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's going to be very like Lost Records-esque, Swann dialing numbers on that.
So. Her phone number. Yeah.
It's perfect. Like, so I think that's a great way to end here, Andrea. Thank you so much for that. Obviously, apologies for making you cry, but I knew that was going to come because obviously
I'm like, what happened?
Well, I knew it would happen as well because like it's a very emotionally charged project for all of you guys, and obviously for yourself as well, and having the baby and everything else of it. And I can imagine it was quite a lot of work to do and very admirable as well. And like I've really enjoyed seeing what you guys did, and it's been amazing. And obviously people have loved that, and I'm sure they'll also love this as well. So I'm glad that you all watched it, and we'll sign off here. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are new here, one more time, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share with your friends, get to keep up to date with all the podcast episode. And also as well, the podcast is available on all podcast services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go and check us out there. Go and rate us. Go and download us. Get instant access to all the interviews. Andrea's been on. Amelia's been on. Olivia's been on. Hopefully Nat one day. All the actors have been on, so do go and check that out. It's thingy. And also we are on Patreon as well. You can support us on Patreon, and thank you to all our Patreon subscribers who supported us, and obviously they asked questions during this chat. Andrea, one last time, thank you so much for this. I look forward to seeing more of you as well. I hope Michel is sitting at home right now watching this interview, writing the sequel, and be like, I need to bring Andrea Carter back. As Autumn, with all the other actors, we all are very excited to see what happens next. We hope that you all return in some capacity, because I feel like the game has a lot of potential for that. But yeah, I'm very happy for that. And then also as well, a big thank you to your baby for not interrupting the interview, which is always a big success story of any podcast as well.
Thank
but yeah,
you.
Thank you so much for having you here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you as well. Thank you for offering to do this. This has been fantastic. Thank you for all the support that you've shown to the game. It means the most. Thank you. Thank you to all the fans, everybody, fan out, everything. And quick last thing, there's a guitar behind me as well that was in my audition that basically got me the part. So thank you for that guitar. But thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect way to sign off, because I'm not going to be able to top that. So I hope you all enjoy. Stay tuned for the next episode, guys. See you later. Bye.